Mama says I'm up to no good again.
The difference between a warp and a weft is fairly easy. Your weft is going to be what you pretty much weave in to your warp. So your warp, the way you are cutting it is different from your weft. Your weft are going to be like tiny strips. So if you notice in this project, these are all the weft pieces that were woven into the warp. So your warp goes from top to bottom. Your weft will go from right to left. Now, this particular part, sometimes students get confused because they think that this is a final project, but it's not. It's your practice, so you know what you're doing for your final project. So everyone has in their file folder 2 different artists, black and white portraits of their artist. So we are all going to make this together. Then this is just our practice weaving of how to weave, what we're doing, etc., etc. We will then move on to our actual project, which is the 2 photos of yourself. You'll need your portraits, scissors, pen or pencil, and ruler. Okay, so I have my Salvador Dali. He's going to be my warp. Mr. Wiley's my weft. So now I have to make sure that I fold this correctly, and I'm just going to fold him where the image is on the inside, and I want to match my corners, and I want to make a hamburger fold. Okay, and this part people can mess up on. I actually already messed up on this part by doing this in the wrong spot. I have to do this part on the side that talks to us. So I got to make sure I'm at the side that can talk to us. And if you're righty or lefty, you'll measure it different sides. But make sure this first line that you draw is on the parts of the paper that's folded that can open. And you can make this part, measure it smaller if you want to. I'm going to leave mine the width of the ruler just to keep everything the same. Now I'm creating my warp, right? And these are the lines that stay vertical. I only draw that horizontal line so I don't cut past that. And I'm just using the length of my ruler, and I'm measuring my ruler up there to create this. So these are going to stay the same. This is the ruler slide trick. You have to hold your ruler down so then your ruler is not wobbly, and then your marks you want to make sure they're straight, basically. Okay. Now, because I've done this before, I know that this last ruler mark is either going to be too skinny to fit or too big. So you see I have a little bit left right there? That's fine. You don't need to create another line. Just leave it the way it is. Okay. Now when I open it, I don't need to open it yet because what I have to do is first cut these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines that I made. The reason why I created that first line that goes horizontal across my paper is so I don't cut past it. So that's my barrier letting me know I shouldn't cut past it. And that's going to help all my weft papers stay inside of my warp papers. Okay, so I cut these. I want to cut straight as I can. And this part doesn't take that long, but you will, if you do this part incorrectly, you're going to know because these little papers more than likely will fall out, okay? So when you're done with this part, you're going to see you cut your warp. So my warp member goes vertical up and down, okay? Now I'm going to be cutting my weft papers with Mr. Wiley. So I'm going to put Dali off to the side. And again, I want to make sure I measure this correctly. Now my weft goes right to left, okay? So right to left or left to right. So I'm going to flip him over and I'm going to create with my ruler, all right? I am going to turn my paper, you know what, I'll leave it, I'm going to leave it portrait so you can see how I do this. I'll start from the bottom. I line my ruler up with my paper, and I'm just using the width of my ruler to create my weft pieces. And I line my ruler up again with the mark I just made, hold my ruler down. The number one mistake I see students, artists making is they don't hold this down and then their weft lines get all goofy and then they don't make sense. So hold that down, create that line, and you just repeat this. You repeat this until the top. Okay. Keep going. All right. So line it up. Hold that ruler down nice and steady. And then again, you may find that this creates a perfect ruler shape, or there's maybe you don't draw a line because it goes off the paper. No big deal. Now you cut all these. You want to make sure you cut straight here for this particular part. You can always, once you master this, create wavy lines and goofy lines like that in the future. But for practicing, you want to try to get this down. I'm going to keep these all lined up. Here we go. Okay. All right. All right, so this is all in line for me, all right? Now, I'm gonna move these that way, and then I'm gonna take my Salvador Dali, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna flip these over right next to Mr. Dali. And there's some of these weft pieces that I may not want to use because I did this and the eyes didn't match, the nose didn't match, and you could actually try it out and see what it looks like, and then if you don't like it, take them out and try again. So I know from experience that I'm not going to use that first piece because there's nothing in it. So I'm just going to take it off and put it there, okay? I also know if I start looking to see where the eyes will match up. Okay, so the eyes kind of match up there. So you know what? I'm going to just take that first piece out like I thought. All right. Now, I'm going to start actually weaving my paper, okay? You can go under or over. Wherever you start, it doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and go under. So when I go under, that means I'm physically going underneath this warp. And then I just go under, over, under again, over, under, and over. So I create that under, over pattern. And I want to move that all the way up to the top. Okay. I'm going to take my next piece. My next piece is completely opposite of that first piece. So because I went under here, I'm going to take the second warp. That's a warp. And I'm going to go over the top one, under the second one. And I do the opposites of everything I did the first time. Take my next weft. Because I went over, I'm going under now. So whatever I just did, I do the opposites. Some of you will have a really easy time with this. Some of us might struggle a little bit, and that's okay, because in the struggle is where you find how to break through. Take my fourth left piece. That's looking super weird, and I love it. Because I went under, I am now going over my first warp, and I'm doing the opposite, remember? So when you get further down, it's going to get a little trickier. You're going to have to try and figure out what to hold, what to keep. All right. Oh, cool. Interesting. All right. So, and if you change your warp and your weft characters, your portraits, it's going to look different too. And depending on if you use your first piece or not, or switch them around, it's completely up to you. Because I went over, I'm going under now. And then, see, this gets a little tricky, so I got to go underneath. Okay. You got to be patient with it. As you get further down, what I've noticed, cool, and I push these up so I can make sure that it's all snug in there. Now, I have 2 more pieces left, and I'm probably going to end up using the one with, his name on it just because I want to. This might be too big to fit, and I know it's too big to fit because I've done this a bunch of times. So you're gonna find when you start, because if that's under, you gotta go over. When you start to even put your paper in there, it won't fit. So my suggestion is to cut the paper. If you don't have their names right here, that's not a big deal. Just makes it easier for me to see that, so that's why I added that. But if you don't have that, that's not a big deal. Oh, okay, I was just going under again, but I already went under, and I have to do the opposite now. So I'm gonna go over, and I gotta slide this through. There we go. Cool, okay. And then that's over, so then this goes under. And then if I have to turn it over to finagle with it, then I do. And then I go under and I push it through. Cool. All right, so if you don't like these little flaps, if they bother you, feel free to tape down the back with tape. I would not tape the front because that can look a little tacky. No pun intended. I would now take glue and add glue and glue down my edges. So I have this Elmer's washable no wrinkle glue, but if you have a glue stick, which is on your supply list, then you should be able just to glue down your flaps in the back and in the front. And then this would be your practice paper. Okay, so here we are. Hey! Hey! Oh, I just wanted to get your attention really quick. I thought maybe you fell asleep because, I don't know, you're at home right now and look, you're staring at your fridge, daydreaming about apples. I don't know. But one more time, I'm going to show you that, but it's going to be fast motion, aka time lapse. Enjoy! This is your practice round. So you're just simply practicing right now, getting the warp, the weft down, making all the mistakes, getting them out of the way for that final project. With your practice portraits, you will take a photo of that and you will fill out slides 3 and 4 on your student reflection under Google Classroom, under the Turn-In project here, under Project 2. I'm sorry, I'm filming this real pasty. There's been like billion miles of snow piled up. What's happening? Weather needs to be nice. It's winter still, but it's going to be 40 degrees today. It's like a heat wave. If you're watching this and it's the beginning of the year versus like right now, it's going to be trimester 3 soon and I'm re-recording. Project is weaving emotions. We're going to talk and discuss a little bit about emotions. Can I sway any further in the camera? I don't know. Can I? We'll talk. Boom. Practice. You're going to love it.
most of you are going to love it. Bye!